When we analyze a modern corporation, we typically divide the business into two distinct halves: a marketing department drumming up demand, and a financial branch managing the money. But those roles have strict physical limits. Marketing can only make promises to the consumer. Finance can only allocate capital to the firm. Neither function actually creates the physical product or delivers the service being sold. That specific responsibility falls to operations management. Operations is the function tasked with taking raw inputs, materials, capital, labor, and information, and transforming them into tangible value. Operations functions as the core strategic engine, dictating whether a company successfully delivers on its promises or fails in the market. This diagram illustrates the modern organizational structure as a highly integrated mechanical system. On the top left, we see the informational input from marketing. It identifies customer needs and channels that demand directly into the system. Below that, finance and human resources supply the capital and talent required to fuel the process. These streams converge in the central production engine. This is the unique matrix where disparate resources are synthesized into the final product. Without this central operations processor, the system halts. Marketing has nothing to sell, and finance has no revenue to manage. To compete in the marketplace, this production engine must be deliberately tuned using 5 distinct variables. First is quality. Operationally, this means strict conformance to design specifications and the systematic elimination of errors. Automotive manufacturers like Toyota rely heavily on error prevention on the assembly line. By keeping manufacturing variance low, they produce vehicles with high reliability. Second is speed. This requires minimizing lead times, shrinking the window from the moment an order is placed to final delivery. E-commerce giants build complex logistics networks specifically to maximize this velocity. Getting products out the door rapidly reduces the financial risk of holding excess inventory. Third is dependability. This means keeping time-based promises to the customer and ensuring absolute system uptime. If dependability drops, the consequences cascade. A regional power grid failure or a cloud server outage doesn't just delay service, it causes a complete operational collapse for the businesses relying on them. Quality, speed, and dependability form the baseline for market viability. Earning a customer's trust requires solid performance across all 3. The fourth variable is flexibility. This measures the system's capacity to adapt its product mix, adjust output volume, or change delivery timing on demand. The fast fashion industry engineers its supply chains for extreme mix and volume flexibility, allowing them to pivot to new trends in weeks. That same operational flexibility allows manufacturers to rapidly retool their factory lines to produce medical supplies during a global crisis. The fifth and final dial is cost. This represents the absolute financial efficiency of the transformation process. Low-cost airlines spike this dial by maximizing aircraft utilization and stripping down supplementary services, pushing their operating expenses to the absolute minimum. Every executive board wants to maximize all 5 of these dials simultaneously, but the laws of physics and mathematics prevent it. This radar chart maps the 5 performance variables. Because an organization operates with finite resources, it cannot concurrently push every axis to the maximum. When leadership demands maximum performance across all 5 points without injecting new resources, the system undergoes structural failure. Consider the inherent conflict between speed and flexibility. A highly automated, specialized assembly line designed to produce standard goods at blistering speed cannot easily pivot to create bespoke, customized products. There is a similar mathematical conflict between quality and cost. Achieving zero defect tolerances requires utilizing premium inputs and rigorous testing. That forces a direct increase in per-unit production costs. The strategic mandate for an operations manager rests on the calculated calibration of these inescapable trade-offs. In operations design, choosing exactly what not to excel at is just as critical as choosing where to win. How an organization calibrates these trade-offs creates a unique operational signature. This side-by-side comparison shows 2 distinct approaches. Chart A illustrates a cost leadership strategy. Efficiency is pushed to the maximum, requiring sharp pullbacks on flexibility and absolute quality. A generic pharmaceutical manufacturer uses this exact rigid, high-volume setup to dominate competitors entirely on price. Chart B maps a differentiation strategy. Here, quality and flexibility are spiked,
while absolute cost efficiency is intentionally sacrificed. A premium boutique winery operates with this signature. They accept higher unit costs to ensure meticulous, customized production processes and superior output. There is an unbreakable rule here. The operations strategy must perfectly map to the overarching business strategy. If a firm promises low-cost leadership to the market, but builds a slow, highly flexible production line, that misalignment guarantees market failure. Modern global markets have introduced a new, non-negotiable boundary condition, the triple bottom line. Profitability can no longer be achieved by externalizing the costs of waste or disregarding labor conditions. Success now requires balancing financial performance with the health of people and the planet. Because operations managers control the physical transformation of resources, they are directly responsible for the energy consumed, the waste produced, and the labor practices used. This oversight makes the operations function the primary mechanism for meeting these social and environmental standards. By governing the literal conversion of every input into a finished output, operations management determines an organization's competitive and ethical reality. Mastering business strategy ultimately requires mastering the operational trade-offs that build the engine.